Oh no, I can run again. I can run. Is that right? Oh, you have it?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Today's reading is from Psalm 19, in our page, Bible page 659 in your Pew Bible. The wonders of God and the goodness of His law. The heavens keep telling the wonders of God, and the skies declare what He has done each day. What He's done. Each day informs the following day. Each night announces to the next. They don't speak a word, and there is never the sound of a voice. Yet their message reaches all the earth, and it travels around the world. In the heavens a tent is set up for the sun. It rises like a bridegroom and gets ready like a hero eager to run a race. It travels all the way across the sky. Nothing hides from the heat. The law of the Lord is perfect. It gives us new life. His teachings last forever, and they give wisdom to ordinary people. The Lord's instruction is right. It makes our hearts glad. His commands shine brightly, and they give us light. Worshiping the Lord is sacred. He will always be worshipped. All of the decisions are correct and fair. They are worth more than the finest gold and are sweeter than the honey from a honeycomb. By your teachings, Lord, I am warned. By obeying them, I am greatly rewarded. None of us know our faults. Forgive me when I sin without knowing it. Don't let me do wrong on purpose, Lord, or let sin have control over my life. Then I will be innocent and not guilty of some terrible fault. Let my words and my thoughts be pleasing to you, Lord, because you are my mighty rock and my protector. Amen.
Amen.
Just asking some technical questions. Okay. Remember when you were a little kid and you got all kinds of free unsolicited advice from your mother?
Yep.
Eat your vegetables. Sometimes you didn't like some of those vegetables. I don't know what it is about little kids, but a lot of them are allergic to the color. If it's spinach or broccoli or the very good lettuce for you, kale, I could go on and on. You don't like it. You need to go to bed. You cannot stay up to 10 o'clock like the big people. No. Did you resent it? Probably. But it was good for you, wasn't it? All right? Do your homework. Who likes doing homework? I don't. I'm against homework, but that's beside the point. Anyway, what I'm saying is that there were people older than you who had lived a few more years, and they really knew, in many cases, what was good for you, right? Well, we have someone a lot older than that also telling us how we should act toward each other. And of course, that is God. And God is the final answer. And especially, people are familiar with the 10 Commandments, right? If you don't know anything else, you probably know, or you've heard of the 10 Commandments and are kind of familiar with what's in them. I met a fellow a number of years ago. I'll call him Anthony. No Anthony's here today. I try not to use anybody whose name is here, because especially if it's anything negative. Let's just say that Anthony broke about everything you could think of. You know, I am your God and you don't worship other gods. Well, the thing is, Anthony had come from a very low-income family, had gone to college, and now he had a position, a junior, you might say junior executive in a company, and he had all kinds of stuff. Every electronic goodie that there was out at that time, he had it. And his neighbor next door had a Mercedes. You know, you're told not to, yes, you know what your neighbor has? Oh. He had to get one that was just one grade up from that. So that was really important. And the thing is, he also loved to tell stories about people that he didn't like. So bearing false witnesses, really malicious gossip, okay? And boy, did he do that. He didn't like all kinds of groups of people. And his real problem with people that are Chinese, excuse me, that's over 1 billion people. Even then, he had a little problem there. He was jealous because some of them were really rising into his company. And I'm not going to talk about adultery. He wasn't married, but he was fooling around with a married woman. So I mean, if you go down the line there, he just broke about every one of them, okay? And a lot of people aren't aware of all the social justice laws in the Bible. And that's, I think, part of the problem that we have today about sharing, looking out for the needs of people that have less than you. And of course, then the big deal was the widows and the orphans, because they were always going to war, and there were a lot of widows and orphans that were left behind. And the Bible, throughout the Old Testament in particular, in the laws of Moses, tells us that we need to share. And in fact, the greatest sharing thing is forgetting all your debts. That's where in the translation of the Lord's Prayer, it's forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. That was the year of the Jubilee, as it was called. After 49 years, we're through. If anyone was indebted to you, you're scot-free. You can start all over fresh and new. I think a lot of people would love that, right? They think that would really be good. Well, anyway, he just didn't think about the needs of anybody but himself. He had all his toys. He had gotten a house. He had his car. He had girlfriends, you know, that were impressed with his cars. So he had a lot of superficial friends that would hang around with him. And then one day, everything came crashing down on him. He got very, very ill. And it was cancer. And it was cancer of the liver, which I think all of you know how serious it is. But fortunately, they got it very early. And they were able to remove that portion, and he was able to get actually a transplant from a living donor, which is just a small part of your liver, not the whole thing. And he survived, but he was very, very ill for a long time. And while he was out of work, resting at home, trying to survive and think about things, he had time, didn't he? Because he wasn't working. And what he had said to himself eventually is that this lifestyle of mine is not working. I'm not happy. I have all the stuff I want. The car, the electronic devices, the nice house, and it's just not working. I've been very rude to a lot of people. I've surrounded myself with people that smile at me and say they're my best friend. But now that I'm down and out and very, very ill and feeling terrible, where are they? The girlfriend took off, or the last girlfriend. He had so many. She took off. A lot of his so-called good friend, drinking buddies at the bar, they all took off. And there he was, pretty much alone He had a nurse that came in every day and check up on him. It was through his health insurance. But he had to reach rock bottom before he realized that this life was not working. And so when he did, when he was able to get out of the house, and he started going to a church, not a judgmental church that said, "You were a very bad boy, and God's going to zap you good." No. He went to a church that taught love, that taught acceptance, but also demanded certain kinds of behavior toward other people. And he realized that that life that he had lived was all kind of due to his need to feel important. His family had a very meager income. He worked his way through college, which was a good accomplishment. But it was like, now I'm a college graduate and I'm better than you, and I have a junior executive position, and look at me. It didn't work. It took his illness to have him come clean with himself. And after attending this church for a while, he realized, I need to change my life. Not because I feel that God's going to go zap me and send me to hell, but because it doesn't work. It doesn't make me happy. It doesn't make me feel like I'm doing anything for anybody except for myself. And now that I think about it, I'm not even really doing anything for myself because it is so self-centered. And so in changing his life and looking out to the needs of others, and being a person of justice and mercy, and realizing that no matter where you come from or your ethnic group or anything, you're all worthy of God's love. He had his aha moment. He changed. He was able to go back to his job. They held it open for him. But now he was a very, very changed person. And one of the first things he did is treat people that were so-called beneath him, like the secretaries and the people that answered phones, and people like that, who he kind of looked down upon. They were not up to his